right, thanks for joining us, everyone, for our monthly Lunch and Learn session. Today, we're going to chat with Kim Dement from Integrated Services for Behavioral Health. But before we begin, I want to touch on some housekeeping stuff. This meeting is for informational purposes only. Board members are not to weigh in on the merits of a provider or discuss provider issues with one another at this meeting. However, you're welcome to ask questions at the end. As a quick overview, we've listed the federal, state, and local levy funding that Integrated received from us during state fiscal year 2021. The 317 board provides funding for integrated services for behavioral health, mental health peer houses, recovery housing, youth activity center, the Hive, and their community transition program, or CTP, in the counties that we serve. And then this is a quick look at the number of folks that they served in fiscal year 2021. And I will go ahead and pass it over to Kim. Oops, let me see if I can get yours. There.
Thank you for adding my slides to yours. I've not tried to share slides on Zoom before. I'm sure I could have figured it out, but I certainly appreciate Marissa doing that. The first slide is where all of our services are provided, and we have this lovely map. So the green area where I've listed the name of the counties are all the counties that we currently provide some type of services. You might wonder why the light green is in there under the list of names: Coshocton, Guernsey, Muskingum, and Noble. And those are the counties that we received the Ohio RISE CME contract for, but we don't actually have any traditional behavioral health services in those counties as of yet. So that's why I like to list them, that they are part of our CME contract for Ohio RISE, but not fully engaged with other services. Adult services that we provide, the general counseling, and we have an extensive behavioral medicine program at this point. The one that is located in the 317 board area is on Graham Drive, Charles Place. I'm sorry, I get the two. The main building is on Graham, but the behavioral medicine is on Charles Place, and we do have providers, Kim Brozak and Amanda Clark, stationed there. Although we do have a lot of telehealth availability for behavioral medicine, so that gives us access to 3 other providers in other areas, one area in Ross County and one in Franklin as well. We have a pretty extensive MAP program now. We did receive a SAMHSA grant for home induction MAP programming. So we can actually go to someone's home and help them connect with telehealth and access services in real time, even help deliver medication for them. And of course, we provide SUD services, treatment, and then we do have IOP. We have IOP in Athens and in Vinton County. Hocking does not, but they can travel to the one in Athens or Vinton if that's close enough for them. So we do have some Hocking residents that will attend the group that happens in Athens more than Vinton. Most of our services are our foundation or community and home-based. So although we do offer office visits if people would prefer that, and like Athens is probably one of our bigger areas where people actually want to come into the office. So we do have space for that with our providers. But even so, most of our licensed counselors will also go to someone's home if that's where they prefer to have the service. And certainly any kind of community things that happen. Our foundation is community home-based and meeting people where they are and where they live. So most of our services happen that way, although we do track on our intakes, where would you like your service to be, and give them those options. We have many different housing service programs, and CTP, of course, was mentioned, the community transition program. And that helps folks who are re-entering into the communities. It's funding that comes down, and we help connect them with monies for their rent and other type of services that they might need to help get them reacclimated into their community, including there's some funding for, like, say, if I need work boots for a job, or I need to help get my household set up. And different counties have different ways of how they want to manage that. And we do provide CTP services in many of our counties, and not just the 317 board area, but I feel like we have a pretty good partnership with the 317 board around that CTP program and helping those folks re-enter. And then, of course, we have SOAR housing services that we get a contract. We have a contract with the 317 board around that. And that is for helping to house people who have opiate addiction issues and in recovery needing extra housing supports. We do follow a housing first model, which sometimes communities struggle with, and sometimes they're welcoming of. But what that basically means for us is that every human deserves to be housed, regardless of what addiction issues they may be going through or where they may be on that journey. That just because I am struggling with an opiate use disorder does not mean I should be living under a bridge or under a tent, that I deserve to have housing and safety. So that's the model we follow for our housing services. The peer support houses, that the board is very supportive in that and helpful, even so far as helping us find and access money to purchase new houses for them to go to. It serves our adult population that maybe has more severe diagnosis that are ongoing and chronic, such as it might be schizophrenia or major depressive disorder or bipolar, and they just need a place to go during the day and be safe, to hang out and be able to make friends, work on life skills without someone worrying about someone having debilitous partial hospitalization and all of those things, but a place to go and be accepted. Kim Jackson oversees all of that, and they have access to a lot of neat things in the community, as well as their art shows that they do. And I think it's a very nice way to protect our adult humans that have chronic issues. And that there is a house in Vinton County and then one in Hocking. Not currently have one in Athens. And then Groundworks Recovery Housing is currently in Vinton County, and we have 2 locations there for women and children who are in the recovery process from opiate use disorder, and potentially other use disorder issues as well. But that is a place for them to come and live, and also still get some in-house support as they get on their feet and try to reestablish into the community with their own housing, and have someone to support them as they're going through that process. And they can bring their children there to live as well. Then I just bring up Start Peer Support as an adult service because we do contract with SCOJFS, that it covers Vinton and Hocking. And we also partner with Athens Children's Services for START, and that is a peer support program where we have someone who has lived recovery experience and can really be embedded in those children's services areas. They can refer them as a team and do care coordination with those individuals trying to either maintain their relationships with their children or keep from losing their children in the process. And someone that's been there, done that, and helpful to them in getting through that process. Different than treatment in that there's a little more sharing that goes on about the life history in hopes that it will be a support to those individuals. The next slide is youth services, which I have two slides for youth services. And there may be things I missed on the adult services, but of course, youth counseling and behavioral medicine. And we do have providers that are specific for servicing youth. We do have the CME contract for Ohio Rise Care Coordination, which is working really closely with the FCFCs and identifying those youth in the counties that have a higher need and risk of being placed outside of the home. And certainly we're the CME for Vinton, Hocking, and Athens, the 317 board area. So hopefully we're working well with your local FCFCs and also including you and the lives of the youth that are most at risk and at the highest need. Again, community and home-based is where it's at for us with youth. Really involving those families can make a huge difference in their lives. We do provide school-based services. I think it's only the Tri-County Training Center, I'm probably saying it incorrectly, that actually has an embedded person in their school at this time. Hopewell does a lot of that work up here. So our school-based embed mostly happens in the PV Adam Board, Paint Valley Adam Board down with Pickaway, Ross, Pike, Fayette, and Highland. Is where most of our school-based embeds happen. And we have quite a few in those areas, but we're always willing to go there if needed. Just there's no need to duplicate or step on any toes for other agencies in your area that might already be providing that. And we kind of go with what do the schools ask us for, and what is Hopewell providing that might be different from what we could provide, and all of those questions. Family therapy, of course, goes without session in the homes, goes with, of course, we do that. Day treatment is a newer service that we got certified for with CARF, that kind of gives you an option with the youth that is not as restrictive as partial hospitalization or residential. They can come for maybe 3 hours a day and get more of a therapeutic behavioral service and counseling service during that time. Day treatment happens currently at our residential, and we do not have day treatment in the general population for the 3 counties that the 317 board is. It is currently functioning in Pike County for us and in Ross County at our Roten School, where we partner with the local school districts for youth during the day. But there could always be summer day treatment in the future, and that's certainly something we can offer. And then multi-systemic therapy, which is a more intensive services for youth that are very high risk of being placed outside of the home. These providers follow a very strict evidence-based model format and carry no more than 6 families at a time. And we do have that currently in Athens, and we are getting ready to share a provider between counties for Vinton to make sure we can access them. And Hocking will be on the future list as we go too. We just started this service last year, so we're in the process of getting that out and also applying for some extra funding from the Ohio Children's Alliance to help us get that growing. Next slide. Oh, continue. I forgot. Yeah, there's more. Risk management, which is our way of serving after hours. And on weekends, we do planned after hour visits, which means after 5 o'clock during the week and on Saturdays. And then we will also take phone calls. And so the youth who get entered into that program are identified by either the local JFS or the FCFC. It can be a parent request. It can be one of our providers requesting it. It can be another agency requesting it. And we just ask that it be youth who are at high risk of being removed if they don't have this type of service. And then, of course, we have the new residential at the Maryhill Youth Center. And the Hive that everybody's really aware of and we all love so much in Nelsonville that Kim Jackson manages. for those youth. Transitional youth housing happens currently in Franklin County, where we service those 18 to 24 with a very specific partnership up there with the Carol Stewart Village. Those are youth transitioning out of foster care that are homeless, and they have little tiny apartments, and we have an embed there to help them with that. And then, of course, we have Help Me Grow contracts. Athens is currently the only one that we are contracted with to do Help Me Grow in your 3-board area or 3-county board area. Just wanted to mention that Kathy Williams is our regional manager for community behavioral health for the 317 board area. She also is now covering Morgan and Washington County as well. And at some point we may have to look at adding another regional manager, but she does a really nice job, I think, of representing the 317 board area and always expressing your needs to us. And Kim Jackson, of course, is managing director for community engagement, which helps all of our counties, but she also, of course, oversees the Hive and the peer support houses. And then Natasha Rapp is our new manager of harm reduction strategies, and Natasha oversees the MAT and the IOP, and we're going to transition the recovery housing over to her as well. And of course, we do have Vinton and Hocking local supervisor who's there on the ground all the time and not pulled away as much as what the regional manager is for that local support, and that's Katie Sprocker. And then Athens has Amanda Clark and Katie Daniels.